My name is Cynthia. I'm a business partner in the Trust and Connected team in Adevinta. And during this presentation, you will begin to see your weaknesses and life history differently so that you will learn how to capitalize on them by turning them into a strength. Then give me 1 second. Okay, that's better. So as I say, I work in Adevinta. Adevinta is a global classified specialist with all in 15 countries. In our technology and teams connect buyers and sellers, helping people to find homes, car, consumer goods, much more. Today, I'm part of the central team in Adevinta called Trust and Connecting, where as a business partner, my mission is to help Adevinta marketplaces to be a safe place where our users can buy and sell. It's very gratifying to be in this team and have this mission to protect people from bad users, from fraudsters, scammers. I feel like I'm doing something good every day. How do I achieve this goal? Actually, I have in Trust and Connecting team, we have a tool, a platform for moderation. And with this platform, we offer different solutions to the marketplaces around the world in Adevinta marketplaces. And what I do is actually kind of connect the marketplaces, all the problems they have, their use cases, fraud use cases, and find a perfect solution in our tool. So I connect both and I help them with that to make this match and be able to protect in that way the end users. So this is me today. But before, this was me too. I used to work at the airport because I have a degree in tourism and hospitality. So I did this too, and I also this one. So I have a degree in law and social science. I used to work in criminal law as a lawyer, and but I'm this one too. I used to work in customer care. I really enjoy helping people, so I did this too. And in the end, I did the bootcamp in our women, the data science bootcamp. So this is me too. So you might be wondering how I end up here in this role. If you see, all these roles are different, and it looked like interesting, but at the same time, it was kind of scary for me in some point when I moved to Barcelona 2 years ago. I have all this different background, and I didn't know how I could explain that in an interview, for example. Many companies will see this as weaknesses. It's like uh, you are not able to follow through one path. Why are you changing that path? Are you quitting all the time? So this was for me one of the challenge or the disadvantage that I have in this point in my life. So before we go into how to deal with these weaknesses, I want that you know what is a weakness. Is an unwanted attribute in a person, organization, or event, so they don't help to achieve the proposed objective. Think a little bit about this. Is an unwanted attribute in a person, in this case, because we're talking about people, sign they don't help to achieve the proposed objective. Keep that in mind for now. And while we see how we can deal with weaknesses. First, you have to recognize them. This is very important that you are aware of the problem if you want to solve the problem. So this is like the first step to think about yourself, ask for feedback so you can identify what could be seen as a weakness. And then accept them. And when you accept them, you will be able to kind of do something for that. So in this case, the first one that I wrote here is be very prepared. So if you think that you have a weakness in some point, what you can do is prepare more. So you won't feel as a totally weakness, or you can kind of survive that situation if you are really prepared. For example, if you are not good with directions and you are traveling to another country, you can bring a map. You can ask a friend to come with you. You can be prepared for that. Not a witness. It's still a witness, but you are prepared. Um, Also, you can use other strength to overcompensate this. As a silly example that might happen to you, but it happened to me, is that I really like food. So I like to eat just for the taste. I like really the taste or the texture. Is and you cannot overeat because there are a lot of problems with overweight and for your health or everything. So I try to compensate this weakness for food with exercise. So if I want to eat more, I have to exercise more. Um, I can compensate uh, one of my weaknesses with this other strength. Another example could be I easily get distracted. If I have a hard time to focus in something. Every detail could distract me, but at the same time, I'm really organized person. So if I get distracted, and then it's not that hard to go back to my work because I have everything organized. This is like two examples to show you how you can use your strength to overcompensate your weaknesses. And then another option could be buy or hire the skill you lack. In the for example about the being bad with directions, you could buy a GPS. Or for example, if you are buying a house, you can hire someone to take care of the negotiations if you are not good with negotiations. So this is the first way that you can approach or deal with your weaknesses. A second one is not just recognize them, it's also try to improve them. It's, it's not something that won't change. Um, if you have weaknesses, you can also try to improve it. In my case, I think probably making presentation is not my strength. So I here try to practice. In that way, in some point, I wouldn't feel is a weakness anymore. And independent of the different things that you think are weaknesses, is what you can do. You can take courses, practice, etc. Do tutorials. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is you don't need to be perfect at everything. In some cases, in many cases actually, you just need to be good enough. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be okay, and that's it. So while you are improving your weak areas, keep that in mind that in some point it's gonna be like good enough, and you don't have to feel that is a weakness anymore because you're not perfect at it. And yeah, while you are trying to improve this, you can use the one of the advice that I give you before. Try to overcompensate with your strength. In some point, it happened to me that I see a lot of things that I have to improve and learn, like this and this and this, and you cannot do it all at the same time. So I try to prioritize why I have to improve, and uh, in the meantime, I kind of overcompensate with other skills. And these two were really, really clear to me when I arrived to Barcelona 2 years ago. So I was trying to do this already, but I didn't know that there is a third thing that you can do. You can recognize and capitalize them. And this was kind of strange to me. Like, okay, it's like how? Or you can. It's about examining your weaknesses and change the way you think about the weaknesses. It's about the perception. So, how did I start changing my perspective or how I see my weaknesses? This actually started in Barcelona in All Women. When I did the bootcamp, I have a Cecilia Pam, one of my, she was doing the bootcamp too. She's a co-founder of All Women. And in the first week, we did a presentation of ourselves to get to know each other, to practice how to do presentations, etc. And she say a couple of things about her life story that I kept in my mind. And she said that in some point of her life, instead of saying that she was kind of weird because she was different, she started to think differently and that it was better to say, I'm unique. You don't have to say that you are weird because you're different. You can say you are unique. And unique is a much positive word, actually. Eh, so, but she didn't say just that. She said that if you start doing this, people will see it too. That was a really interesting point of view. And so that is what I start trying to do. Like seeing myself, seeing stop seeing like my resume was wrong. It was more like unique. I'm super special. I have all this together. So I at that point I was trying to believe it, but I wasn't really sure. But okay, it was worth to try. So I follow the advice. Um, and keeping this in mind, I finished the bootcamp and I applied to a position at Adevinta. How did I get the job at Adevinta? Do you think that, if you remember my resume, do you think that Adevinta saw this as a weaknesses? All this mix of background, like I'm inconsistent, that I don't know what I want, or I cannot follow through a path, or something like that? Actually, it was the opposite. For my surprise, this was one of the things that they value the most at the time that they hire me. If you remember the lawyer criminal law background, I joined a team that actually fight fraud, where all my legal experience in criminal law give them a much more complete perspective. I can see like the difference between what is illegal and what is immoral and all these details. So it's something that is not it's not like you have to be a lawyer to do my job now, but it really adds something to the team. What do you think about the customer care and hospitality background? How can you mix or match this background with this role? Yes, in this one is precisely what helped me better to understand the need of the users in the different countries where the Adevinta marketplaces are located, as well to maintain good relationship with them. Um, Working at the airport, I get to know people from everywhere, and you have to understand what they need, what they want. And in my position now, I work in a central team. We offer services to the marketplaces in Adevinta. Um, so I have to understand that every country and every culture will have different needs and different ways to solve this problem or how they behave. So all this past experience really adds something to this position. And what do you think about the data science course that I did? How how can you fit that in this role? Well, to be able to find faster and help Adevinta marketplaces, I have to analyze data. We analyze data to find patterns like bad behavior or good behavior that can help you to differentiate between good and bad user. This is one of the main tasks that I have today. So analyzing data was like the probably the basic thing that I need to know for this role. And I knew it because of the bootcamp. And you might be wondering about the other part, because in data science you analyze data, but also you do machine learning models, etc. So in my position, I don't train machine learning models, but my team has a lot of machine learning models. And in my position, I have to be able to explain them and give the support to the marketplaces. So even if I don't do it by myself, I have to understand if there any problem in the machine learning model, which one we have, the different one, which is better for this situation or for this another situation. So it's still very valuable that I have that knowledge. And I'm happy to be working with the machine learning engineers too in that area. So precisely what at first seemed like a weaknesses to me now wasn't a weaknesses at all. It was like the biggest strength that I got to have the job. If you see all this fit or match perfectly. So another thing that helped me to, yeah, as I told you, the first one was Cece and her presentation that gave me this new view about how I should think about myself, my weaknesses and my differences. The second time that with what add more to this new perspective, it was this test. I took the Phase 5 personality test, and basically Phase 5 is a test tool that can identify an individual values, strengths, and motivation. And it was offered to me as a part of my personal and professional development. So I thought um, I thought it would be a good tool to find like what are my weaknesses. I can work in that, etc. But for my surprise, this test is not actually focusing in weaknesses. This test is focusing in like motivators, different areas, and you can have more on this or more on that, but none of them are like bad. Each factors will give you strength and behaviors and tendencies you need to watch out for, but not like they're bad necessarily. I can give you an example. Sorry. This is one of the things that my personality test said about me. Never find a superficial solution. Do you think this is weaknesses or an strength? It's, it sounds good for me, no find any superficial solution at least. But in the other side, it said I should watch out for, be reluctant to take a stance or gamble. So if you see, my behavior can give something like good, but you should watch out for other kind of tendencies that could be leading to something not that good. But in the end, both of them could be good depending on the context or the situation. So it's a lot about context and perspective if your behaviors are good or bad. I can give you another example. Offer to help out wherever required. Yeah, I really like to help. I think I have said it many times already in my different roles, helping people. And I should watch out for slow to delegate special and unpopular work. Yes. So I have this kind of good, very good part that I offer help to everyone, but at the same time, I'm sometimes really overwhelmed for the amount of the work that I have or things that I have to do because I don't want to delegate, especially if those tasks are hard to do or unpopular. So I am showing you this example so you can understand how it's about perspective, context. So whatever your weaknesses you are thinking, um, they probably has another side, another way that you can think about them. We can come back to the definition and think about this one as again. Weaknesses are unwanted attributes in a person, organization, or event, signs they don't help you to achieve the proposed objective. But what do you think if the proposed objective change? Is this attribute still a weakness or not? So it's about context. It's about context, perspective, situation. It's not that this is so it's not a weakness. It's a behavior. Now the last one is about capitalize your weaknesses, and as I said before, it's not really a weakness. It's a behaviors. So again, you have to recognize them, and then after you recognize it, identify, you have to rethink about them. Rethink what are the other sides of this behavior. In which situation this could be something good. In this situation could be this something not so good. And then after you kind of reanalyze these behaviors, you can actually take advantage of them. And you will discover that these these witnesses has some like hidden value. It's like because at least for me in my mind, it's like this is a witness, so I will never get out nothing good of that. It's like something that I abandon, I recognize and abandon. I try to kind of tolerate or live with, but I never thought before that I could really take advantage, like capitalize that behavior in some context, in some situations, or beg the people to look at this behavior as something good, not something bad. So you can also do what we mentioned in the beginning. You can always like accept them and be prepared, work on improve them and maximize your strength. But I want that you keep in mind that these are not the only options, that you can do more. You can change your story, your perspective, and when you do it, the people will see it too. Thank you.
Wow. Cynthia, thank you so much. I've never heard like so much insight, like on the real personal perspective, and yeah, how your like whole path has been until this point. So, I mean, I'm reading just like the chat while you were like talking, and it's amazing. Everybody thinks the same way.
Yeah.
Something that I was going to say here, one of the questions was, how do you position it yourself in the right context to succeed? What would you say to that?
Oh,
Yeah, it's a toughie. It's not so
it's
easy.
a tough one. Yeah. It I would say it requires a lot of analysis. Like I'm on my way to do this. I think I may still have to learn how to see everything in a good perspective, but I'm trying to see it everything in oh kind of testing this. At this point, I think everything could be something good, but it
Okay.
might be some limitations.
Mm,
Probably, I don't. But it's worth to try. That was the thing that I thought with after the presentations. Like I'm not sure, but it's worth to try. Let's see, and that led me to get the job and everything. Like, okay, it's working, so let's try the boundaries. So I'm not sure, but you should try.
amazing. Yeah, I think it's not something like so that comes like easily. It's something that maybe, yeah, you start discovering day by day.
Yeah, and
Something.
yeah, sorry, and in all that, we tend to stick to our belief. So, for example, as a child, my father always said that women are bad at math. So I believe that for so long. Like so, when I decided to do the bootcamp
Wow.
in data science, it was like this is going to be hard because women are bad at math. So I don't know how I'm going to deal with the statistics and everything, but I will be more prepared. That
Mm.
was to go through this challenge. And now realize that I never was bad at math. I never got bad score in the school. So it's just a belief. It's not a something. It's not a reality.
Exactly.
So so
Yeah,
it,
and I mean,
it
you
takes
prove them
time.
wrong, which is something that it's not easy to do. Okay, it's not so easy to prove a parent wrong, but at least like you went for it and you did not hold yourself back. So kudos on that. Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so Cynthia, thank you very, very much. I think like some people might want to reach out to you, but like I said, I
Yes.
mean everybody can go either to the company's booth or they have your
Yeah.
contact. You're part of the event now, so they can reach out to you, and hopefully they will. So thanks again, and yeah, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.